What you're looking at right now is Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. And more specifically, you're looking at the Enterprise Asset Management interface from Dynaway. What Kogo does, specifically for this context, is create a contextual environment, in this case for mining. So today what we're going to go over is an end-to-end asset management solution, but within a mining context. So this interface that we're looking at right now is a fully web-based solution. It's updated by Microsoft in waves, so usually 4 times a year. So gone are the days where you have to worry about all the release management, planning, user updates, and testing. So now when this software is delivered, it's actually pre-tested. So before, in old ERPs, you have to go through a big testing and release process before you'd have feature updates. And today, we actually have to test that before we push that to the cloud. So all of the updates that happen in the system have to go through about 3,000 standard tests before they're pushed out, and then they get pushed out globally to every customer that uses this system. So it ends up being a very, very stable platform. It's incredibly flexible in terms of environment. You can actually personalize this environment, so we can create whatever layout that we want. We can move blocks around. We can adjust all of the different items that we want visible to us from the main interface. This environment is also fully viewable in multiple environments. So there's one code base that goes from a desktop, a laptop, right to a tablet, and then onto a mobile phone. So gone are the days where you have to have separate applications. It's fully ubiquitous access on any device. And just so we can kind of expand on that, everything is fully functional in every single view. So if we want to look at work orders, if we want to look at what's been closed, if we want to look at work orders that are open, we can do that all from every single device without having to have a separate application. So the reason why we bring that up is because it's very important to be able to access software application on our customers' terms. So on whatever device they want to be able to access it on. So fully web-based and fully accessible from any device. Because it is cloud-based, it's also accessible anywhere in the world. So as long as you've got an internet connection, you can actually access the system. The look and feel of the environment is meant to be very friendly. It looks like the other Microsoft products where we have tile bases. So we can get easily to any place we need to from 3 places on the screen. We can either get to from the top menu, we can get to it through tiles, or we can get to it through our hamburger menu, which gives us visibility to all of the features and functions within the asset management system. This is also role-based. So the information that's presented to you is based on the role that you have in the system. And the benefit for the customer is that it gets to be sized for the audience. So if I'm an accountant, I don't see the asset management stuff. If I'm a project manager in the system, I don't see the accounting stuff. If I'm an asset manager in the system, I don't see the production information. So I go up to my little gear icon and I go to my settings. You'll see my role right now is set to asset manager. For example, if I switch to asset technician, it's going to resize that environment to say, okay, you're a technician. You only need to see some very specific things about asset management. So the benefits for the customer is to really have a quick interface where it's easy to find the tasks or the activities that you need to do and get to work straight away without having a whole bunch of other features and functions that you don't need. The other thing is it helps to restrict access so that you have a role that's based on only what your job function is instead of having other items that are available to you. So there's some security and segregation of roles that are built directly into the system. Today, we're primarily going to be in the asset manager role, a little bit in the asset technician role. And in a later session, we'll talk about the safe work functions, which is things like lockout, tagout, safety incidents, and risk assessments. But for today's session, we'll just stick to asset manager and asset technician roles. One of the other great benefits about having a unified interface is not only can we get to work quickly, all of our reporting and analytics, because it's a 100% Microsoft-based solution, is directly within the system. So we don't have to go anyplace else to get our detailed reporting. So all of our reporting are available in Windows down below. And again, these are customizable. If you want things to look in a different layout, you can customize every single grid to make it functional for you. We do have customers that create specific roles that maybe they don't want to look at user tasks, maybe they don't want to look at incoming documents, and so they remove things if they think that they're not necessary for the work function. So I went over, you can get to every place you need to be 3 different areas: your top ribbon menu, your hamburger menu, or your tiles underneath can get you to the same location. Just further to a general orientation of the system, our assets can also be found in 2 different views. I'll click on our just basic linear list, so it's a big long list of assets. We click on the assets, it'll show you everything from front to back. So these are all of the assets we have in the system. And when we talk about assets, these are items that we're maintaining. So items that we need to actually execute work on to maintain. So when I say asset, sometimes that means something different when I'm talking to a financial person than when I'm talking to an operations resource. So when I'm saying assets today, I'm really talking about the items that you're going to maintain. The second kind of more functional view of the assets is our asset tree view. And the asset tree view allows us to look at everything in parent-child relationships. So think about it as a hierarchical relationship. Here I have my mine, my plant, and my port. Today we'll focus on our plant assets. And you'll see when I click on the little caret next to it, it's going to expand it. And then I've got all of my child assets of the plant that are listed underneath of it. If I just go to my first asset, which happens to be my primary crusher, click on the caret next to it, it's going to show me the children of the primary crusher. So it's going to show me my conveyor belt weightometer, my grinding circuit, my feed chute, maybe the grinding crane, and it's going to show me my sag mill, the apron feeder from the infeed. And further down the list, if I click on the caret again, it's going to show me any work order plans that are associated with that. So what type of work has gone on that specific asset. There's no limit to how far you can go down in the parent-child relationships. We always find that customers, if they have to go more than 4 levels, then we don't typically book work to the right location. So we want to be mindful about how deep we have to go into the hierarchy to actually create work. One of the benefits for the customers is to be able to easily find the equipment that they need to do work on. So we can either do that through browsing in the list, or this is fully searchable. So let's say I was trying to find my cyclone. I could go to my search and type cyclone, and then it's going to delimit that list to only things that contain cyclone. So I can easily find the asset that I want to do work on. There's a bunch of options within the assets tree that allows us to see either information on individual asset history, work order plans associated with it. So that's corrective, preventative maintenance, or inspections. It allows you to see any downtime that's being registered against that asset. Downtimes are a huge benefit for the customer, especially when we're going to analyze what sort of outages did we have over a period and why did those outages happen. So to be able to see that really clearly from a tree view is an enormous benefit for our maintenance customers. Also on the right-hand side, you're going to be able to see a picture. If you want to, you can actually upload videos as well. Your basic asset details, numbers, descriptions, serial number, any sort of attributes that they have. If you've got a frame size, a color, all of that information is available. Any defects that have been associated with that specific asset. You're going to see your location information, your lat and lon if you've actually put a spatial anchor in place, any warranty information, all right from the same pane of glass. If I click on the tree options, you'll see all the different things that are available on the tree view. So we can show those items, we can show documents, downtimes, we can show defects, any requests that are open on those assets, anything that's closed. And this is all adjustable. So it's based on how you want to work with the asset tree. Our customers are sometimes segmented into planning departments versus scheduling departments versus the execution. So maybe if I'm working solely in execution, I don't want to see requests, or I don't need to know much about the inbound requests and types. I just want to know, hey, what are the items associated with this asset? So these are all configurable to the individual user. So it makes the assets tree highly functional for showing all the necessary information for your assets, or for showing only what you want to see to be able to execute the work based on your individual role. So this ends up being a highly functional view to give you a state of all of your assets front to back, be able to quickly find the asset that you're going to plan or schedule workflow for, and then execute the work. There's benefits to both the asset tree and the assets list. Some people do prefer to work just in the assets list because, hey, I just want to look at my assets that are in poor condition, and maybe I want to filter it to just plant assets. So let's say my job function happens to be just in the mill, and maybe somebody else's job function is just running maintenance that's in the mine. So I can filter these things within this view to only see the things that are within the mill, or only see the things within the mine. So each one of these descriptors up top are filterable as well. So I can go in and say, hey, my asset location code, I want to filter to this value, and then it's going to really delimit that list to only assets that exist within the mill versus assets that exist within the mine, or assets that exist within the port. So it's really up to the end user about how they would like to work with the system. Both views tend to be highly functional views. The other items to go over, just to get generally adjusted, is we've got our work orders, our posted work orders, our requests. We've got our how we create one-off work orders, our asset activity board, and our scheduling board. We're going to go into depth on all of this stuff throughout the demo today. But I figured for starters, let's go through the finance side of it. So let's go through our maintenance budgets first. Then we'll go through fixed assets. We'll go through the ledger entries, and then we'll go through items, expenses, and labor costs. And that's just really helpful to show you from 3 different or 4 different views the functionality of the system. So we'll start with the finance side, so how we set up budgets, how we monitor those things, and then we'll move on to how we actually plan, schedule, and execute work, if that's okay with everybody.